Over the last little while, we've had a series of community meetings, and one question that came up repeatedly was, what is the training? What is the training here? And so I attempted to, well, I started a document that would outline what that is, and with Venerable Children's, in Venerable Children's encouragement, suggestion, I'll cover that. What is the training over the next few days in the Bodhisattva Breakfast Corner? So everybody who didn't want to give one tomorrow is reprieved for a short while. The outline is long, so I won't read the whole thing. I'll just do like a page a day or so, and then we'll comment as I go. And although this is pertaining specifically to training at Sravasti Abbey, it is also general enough for anybody that's wanting to train at home or wherever to think about these principles. So what is training? When we wake in the morning at 5 or before and get up whether we feel like it or not, that is training. When, before getting out of bed, we take refuge, generate bodhicitta, and turn our minds to refrain from harm, to be of benefit, and to cultivate the altruistic intention throughout the day, that is training. When we climb out of bed and make 3 prostrations to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, that is training. When we go for morning tea and think to boil enough water for everyone who lives on our floor, or wipe the counter after ourselves, and remember to turn out the light when we leave the tea room, that is training. When we head to the meditation hall morning after morning after morning, whether we feel like it or not, that is training. When we bow to each member of the community, trying to see the Buddha nature in each person or sending a wish for each one's happiness as we bow, that is training. When we turn and bow to the refuge field, remembering their good qualities and recalling our own potential, and that of all the people around us, that is training. When we spend an hour or so every single day attempting to tame our minds, doing the meditations that mix our mind with the Buddha's mind, exploring the reasonings for why and how to change what we think, that is training. When we join the community and guests and mindfully raise our voices in praise to the 21 Taras, reflecting on the Buddha's enlightening activity, that is training. When we offer our breakfast to the 3 jewels, visualizing wonderful offerings for them and reflecting on the kindness of the supporters upon whom we rely to be eating at all, that is training. When we eat silently for a while, then at the gong greet our fellow community members with kindness, that is training. When we approach the morning dishes with a genuine wish to offer service to the community, that is training. When we deliberately cultivate a happy mind by gratefully reflecting again and again on others' kindness, this is training. So I want to talk a little bit about the kindness part today. I'm going to stop here. There are several pages of this, but for me, I believe that this cultivating kindness is actually one of the most important fundamental aspects of our training. And in my own experience, it comes from the cultivating of gratitude. Gratitude can transform common days into thanksgivings, turning routine jobs into joy and change ordinary opportunities into blessings. That's by the most famous quote writer in the world, William Arthur Ward, or the most quoted author in the world, who's not so famous. But His Holiness also is quoted, when you practice gratefulness, there is a sense of respect towards others. And remember when Venerable Master Wayman gave us our teaching for the Varsa, that idea of bringing respect to everything, everybody, every moment, every situation. His Holiness says the source of that is gratitude. And although gratitude itself is not named as a specific quality, the 2 methods of developing bodhicitta do specifically teach us to think about the kindness of others, particularly in relation to our mothers in the 7-fold cause and effect instruction, and then expanding that to recognizing the kindness of all of others everywhere, and equalizing and exchanging itself for others. So, in thinking about this for the Abbey, I have a talk that Venerable Khandro Rinpoche gave to the Gampo Abbey ordained Sangha some years ago. And one of the things she said is kindness is important. Without kindness, nothing works. Nothing works. We learn the Dharma, we study with our teachers, but even so, the most difficult thing to do, practice kindness. But every day you realize that kindness is the most essential thing, and beyond that, nothing is important. Or you realize that in practicing kindness, everything is being practiced. So it's really an important, kind of fundamental way of living in community. She says kindness is all about liking one another. You have to really unconditionally like one another. You have to begin to speak a language in your own mind that says, I have no problems with anyone, I just like everybody. You go around with that philosophy in your life, and it's very important to do this. And then she goes on to say, which I didn't pull the quote out, but she says, if you do it deliberately for a while, that's okay. It's like fabricated kindness. I feel kind towards everybody as a thought. And then slowly, if you get used to having that thought, I like everybody, I have no problems with anybody, then you slowly withdraw, and so it becomes more and more natural over time. And part of that, the foundation of that naturalness, I am convinced personally from my experience of living in community and practicing to train to like people, is in developing this gratitude for others. So we practice. What is the kindness we're receiving right now? The kindness of the people who prepared lunch. The kindness of the person who blew the horn that called us to lunch. The kindness of the people who called R&R heating so that we will have a warm enough building. The kindness of the people who put the heating in the first place. We start to think, what in the world are we doing in this beautiful building? How did we get here? It didn't just appear so that we could show up every day at 12:28 or 12:34 and have lunch. It came from the kindness of so many people. And if we train our mind every day to look really at every single person and make ourselves find what is one kind act this person has done today that I'm the beneficiary of, it helps tremendously in developing this mind that says, I like each person. I like each person. I'm willing to work on the mind that appreciates with respect the people that I live with. So I absolutely, positively believe that the meditating on the kindness of others, for me, and I think it's not, I think I can say this broadly, is one of the most important meditations we do every day. And that too, because it's the ground. Because we learn from the bodhicitta teachings then, we develop that gratitude of respecting the kindness of other living beings, then what arises from that? The natural wish to repay that kindness. What arises from that, respecting that kindness, is a genuine love for the beings around us. When we have that genuine love, that means we genuinely wish for their happiness. We work for their happiness. We begin to be much more receptive to being able to see the dukkha that each person is experiencing, and we have greater compassion. So it's the very foundation if we want to practice kindness. So, in part, that is the training. Because, as you all know, we did not sign up to live together exactly. As you all know, we did not, it's not like nobody ever filled, when you ask for roommates, you ask people what are their qualities, what are your interests? What do we have in common? What is your daily schedule? Do you think we're going to be able to live together okay? we didn't fill out that application. Our application had different questions. It was, what is your practice? What is your aspiration? Do you want to become a Buddha? I mean, we make that assumption. And so based on a shared reality of wishing to become fully awakened together, we come together also with the intent to train and practice, to train our minds. Now, the closing lines I was going to repeat every day and I didn't bring them, but they go something like this. When I recognize that I have an opportunity every single moment throughout the day to train my mind, that is training. When I recognize that I voluntarily chose to come to a place where I could do that training, that is training. When I recognize that I came to a place to do that training and not just to get my own way, then that is training. When I recognize that no one can train my mind but me, that I am solely responsible for that training, then the Dharma grows in us. And when the Dharma grows in us, and we recognize that we are benefiting from that training, then we'll train. And so that's the training. And we'll unfold this. There's a few more things, a few more ways to think about it, but every day, in every way, we apply our own minds. And we can choose not to. That's also our option. We can go through the whole day long and never once pay the least bit of attention to any aspect. But the Abbey is set up, designed, the structure, the schedule, everything that we do, actually, was intentionally built for us to train our minds, but only we can do it. And that's totally up to us. So, today, that's the training.